line of work. I was in like nightclub and venue management work because I just hated everything about it. I hated the people. After a while of like that is a unique workplace because you don't understand because you get the sort of it's a younger workforce, but you get the sort of bullshit like sort of quarrelling and not office politics really. It's not as sophisticated as that, but it's more like bitchy politics that you have to maintain. But also, like I say all the time, the other thing is that you become, if you're that way inclined and you're intuitive, you become very connected and aware of the workings of society, and I used like to say
because
the
it's
Friday,
a social arena.
The Friday and Saturday night syndrome. Like you get used to the way the game's played, the way the male and female species react to each other in their entertainment periods of their life, and you really get to understand how people really tick and how they decide is the best way to interact and try and have a good time. And they go off for their little dance, and then they dance closer to each other and look at each other, and you caught a glance of you, and it's like so just fucking. It's so primitive and it's so stupid, and there's nothing like real about it. It's such a fake, thing that we've made because of I don't know, like.
Well, it's because of all the layers that we put around ourselves.
It's because of fucking scumbag guys, for one. Like, guys that aren't raised properly. And I wasn't raised fucking, the most sterlingly, like, as a proper gentleman. But I'm not fucking, a sleaze, really. I'm going to rephrase that. I'm not a sleaze when I go to nightclubs. I might be a sleaze in my workplace, but not to sleaze to the point where I'll sleep with anyone, but a sleaze to like...
You're getting all your staff on side with you.
Yeah, like I play, like as in
like
like...
your strategy?
I haven't
Oh wait,
really...
hang on, we ended up dating because
Yeah. But but like I said, I'm dating. I'm not, like, but we
lived together while we were dating. And working together.
But
we're not going out anymore, though.
I'm like, just, I don't know. So, look, the main thing of what I'm trying to say is that, like, when you are in the hospitality field, and especially management, you have time to, walk around and just, for 9 years of your life, walk around a nightclub or a bar or a venue or something, and you watch the way people react to each other when they're trying to have fun. You really learn a lot about people and who they are, who they really are, and who they, when they get drunk,
you're seeing the flip side of the coin. You're seeing the consequence of people being worked out, 6 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. Also, that's an exaggeration, but like, who knows? Some people do work those hours.
I do.
5 days a week, 6 days a week, or whatever. You're seeing the flip side of that, and that whole environment has its own like crazy theme and fakeness and role playing and all that. And then you're seeing the other half of life where those people try and live their life on their weekends, and they go and they get smashed, and then they go and try and find someone to make them happy, and they try and find them in another club.
They might not even get smashed, but it's still the same shit. You know what I mean? Even if they don't get smashed, it could be worse because their inhibitions are less, so they have to play the game harder. It's this game. It's the whole game of the male and female situation.
I hate the game.
It's so fucking stupid. Like, everyone needs to fucking get over himself and just understand that we're just all humans and fucking... But, like, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not, like... I've seen guys treat girls like absolute... that's why the game is so accentuated, because guys are fucking dirty, sleazy fucking men. And like my philosophy is maybe because I might be some sort of unique looking individual, this works for me. Like, I'm tall and I might stand out a bit more. I will never make a move on a girl unless she first initiates that.
Yeah, well, it's easy for you because they always look at you.
They always look at me because I'm taller than everyone else, and that's great. But I mean,
the sleaziest guys are the ugly ones.
Yeah, exactly. But if the world revolved like that, guys are like sort of more like girls in their in their interaction on the social scene, then I think the world would be a lot better place. You know what I mean? Especially for girls, because guys wouldn't be as fucking.
Well, that's why I think I've discussed this on the podcast before. Is the whole that game is so much more accentuated in Australia compared to other countries.
Yeah.
And we are so fucking uptight here, especially the chicks, and the guys have to be extra ruthless because of that, and they end up backlashing and being real nasty to chicks when they turn them down, like you fucking bitch, you know, like, and that's just makes the whole thing worse.
No.
But I think, you know, the inability to be able to see people for their true inner nature and beauty. Sorry to get spiritual and stuff for you, but you know, because of the layers and layers of crap and fakeness and superficiality that is put on outside of us all, and which is, you know, put on show in nightclubs, it doesn't allow for people to find each other's match.
Yeah.
It's so hard, and like in the nightclub environment, it's. I mean, I understand that looks is definitely a good indicator of who may be suitable to you. That's definitely, but it's, you know, it's only one indicator, and I think that in the nightclub area, that is the only indicator that anyone even pays any attention to. It doesn't matter beyond that. There is nothing else that people look for, and especially when things are loud and things are going on, you don't have time to go and have a chat with everybody and figure out who they really are. You have to just go, all right, he's hot, whatever. Yeah. I'm just going to just go and speak a few words to him because he can't even hear me, but he's hot, so that's enough. And so it's just such a superficial environment.
But I mean, like that, relating it back to the workplace and the interaction between people in the workplace, I mean, I think, you know, the workplace is a brilliant way of being able to meet your potential partner.
Well, definitely, and I have met all my boyfriends at work.
Yeah. That's why it's so important to fucking be able to get that right job at that right time, and not just be in a job just for shits and giggles, you know. Because I think, you know, even if you find a partner in a job that you're not really liking, whatever, it's not really, you know, for some reason my brain's telling me that that's probably not going to work out for the best in the long run, because you're not there for the right intentions. Yeah. You know, it's all related.
Well, then my sister and her husband, they met at a rave. They met at God's Kitchen, which I find pretty cool. Like, she was just dancing her ass off as usual, and apparently he was just watching her in like awe and like chin down, like, who is this girl? And then, you know, they fell in love. Like, fully, that was it. And they're married now.
Yeah.
And they're really, you know, they're really good together. But I think, you know, obviously it can happen. But I think you're right. I think when you go out with the intention of picking up, that immediately ruins the possibility of you meeting someone. Because the ideal way and the way, if everything was perfect, the way we'd all meet people is if we were all existing in the moment, doing as we should in our inner purpose and being the best we can be, walking the path of life that's been, you know, chosen by our innermost self, and then people stumble across your path because they were supposed to, and that's how you meet. You know, you shouldn't have to feel desperate and sad that you haven't met someone and try out there and go to like all these efforts to try and meet someone, because I think that actually just completely makes it so an impossibility for you.
Yeah.
Which is, have we discussed this before? Have we discussed internet dating and stuff?
We pretty much
Did we discuss internet dating once?
Only once, briefly. But only in like fucking, you know, 25 podcasts, 24 or 3 or whatever, we have pretty much discussed every single fucking topic in the history of the planet. Maybe not that much.
We haven't discussed leaves or that fan there. What do you mean? That's ridiculous.
Into nature a bit. I mean, just the amount of stuff that we cover. Like, we try and stick to one topic, but this shit just goes.
Yeah, that's good. But I'm sure that we still are only in one little bubble of the world, and think, you know, I'm sure there's shitloads of stuff that.
I really hope there is.
Well, that was an interesting, you know, point when we went to this Marxist conference yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
To keep our minds open, you know, and a lot of the ideas of Marx are pretty cool ideas. So we wanted to go and explore that and see what people were doing on the activism of, you know, the activism front, you know, in that whole regard. So we went and whatever, and there was a speech by John Pilger, who is an amazing guy, and like he's got some fantastic documentaries. Look him up, because, geez, your eyes will be widened and you will cry, you will be shocked, you will just be driven to action. Seriously, hopefully, because it's just fucked what's going on in the world, and he really brings it to light. But a lot of this, he had a speech and he was bringing up, a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world. And Sean and I, we knew pretty much everything that he was talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, we knew that stuff. And as much as his speech was moving and it was good, but we were wondering to ourselves, how many people here actually know this stuff? Is this normal to know all this stuff? Or are these people only really knowledgeable in that one area of philosophy and ideas about how the world should be, rather than applying it to the world today? Because that was a big problem that I felt with that whole conference, was that it's not about, it seemed to me, about just academia and philosophy and everyone just feeding their egos about how their thoughts and wanting to get them out there and telling everyone what I think and what book I read and the big words I'm using and, I know this man in history 200 years ago and how his ideas might have affected things a few years later. Like, who fucking cares? Like, why can't we just rely on people now thinking about ideas? Because there are plenty of people in the world with good brains who can come up with some cool ideas. We don't really need to be doting on people from 200 years ago.
Like we've said, what we talked about yesterday, the main problem with fucking Marxism is state control.
Well,
that's
definitely.
the problem. If there's one thing that history has told us is that power corrupts, and when a state has absolute power of a country, what happens? Stalin, Hitler, fucking, the list goes on and on. Mao, all these things are so outdated, and it's stupid to think that we can live in this age of information with these outdated fucking concepts.
Yeah, we need
we need a new radical system that takes into account population density, environmental destruction, everything that we have right here, right now, today.
And
it takes it all into account. It fixes problems, and it allows it to be wrong. Like, allows the system to be able to be improved upon. So, for interest's sake, capitalism may not be working the best for the benefit of the whole human race at the moment. The new system that we come to grips with has to say, well, it needs to be able to fix itself and say, like apparently the scientific method, apparently, it says you have to be able, it allows itself to be corrected when new information comes to light.
Yeah.
And that's so important,
And that would mean that you have to provide a system where there isn't a potential and the ability for some people to establish themselves to a point where they have invested interests in keeping the status quo. So you need no one can establish such a niche or whatever it is that they're doing to the point where their livelihoods depend on things not changing.
Yeah.
I think that's
the main thing. That's the main thing. It does come back to economic, but it also does come back to just straight ego. Just straight fucking male ego.
Oh, definitely.
And I say male, emphasise the word male.
Yes.
Straight male fucking ego of just saying, nah, this is right, and fucking that's the way it is. It's because I read it. It's because I did it. It's because, mate, like, if anyone thinks that they have a way of being able to, make an equation to tell them how things are in the world or how things are in any real level of society. I haven't explained that well at all, but if anyone has any thing, like even scientific, religious, of any way, I think that you are more lost than someone who is a devout Christian. Because there is stuff that is apparent to some people. Well, take for example the psychic phenomenon. That is, obviously to a lot of people it's not real, but that is.
To your reality, that's real.
Well, if you've ever experienced supernatural things on a completely and utterly, vivid, real, lifelike level, then you know that there are questions that not one, way of explaining things that humans have come up with yet can be answered. There is absolutely no way that some things that happen in this world with this reality to people, whether you can see it or not, can be explained with the equations that we have in the human race at the moment.
Anyway.
Well, not
and
yet.
There is the hope that eventually those two worlds will mix and science will expand into accepting those types of possibilities, and then